Let's not sugarcoat it. What just came out of Buckingham Palace sounds more like a wild TV drama than real life. Sources close to the royal family say there's now an official request for DNA tests on Meghan and Harry's children. Yes, actual DNA tests. Not for curiosity, not for fun. But to answer a question most people thought was already settled, are Archie and Lilibet really their biological children? That line alone sounds unbelievable, right? But this isn't some made-up rumor from social media. This demand is reportedly coming straight from inside the palace. And the reason claims that Meghan may have faked her pregnancy with Archie, staged it, acted it out like a performance for the public. This isn't some silly theory. If it turns out to be true, it could go down as one of the biggest lies in royal history. But before we talk about if any of it is real, let's look at how the situation even started, because it didn't happen overnight.
I will say that, like a lot of people, I saw the Getty images of the pillow dropping behind the skirt, and I thought at first they could be photoshopped, but Getty images is very reliable.
For years, people whispered about Meghan's pregnancy, about her bump changing shape, about how she walked in stilettos deep into her third trimester, about the way she squatted with ease, movements that didn't match the reality of carrying a baby. Back then, those whispers were dismissed. People were told to hush. Don't be rude, don't be cruel. But the whispers never went away. They just got louder. Now, fast forward to today, it's no longer gossip. It's an outright demand for proof. A royal DNA test. And let's be clear, this isn't normal. Royals don't do this. They don't drag family secrets into the light. But something behind closed doors has clearly shattered the old rules. Sources say this didn't come from sudden paranoia. It started after a full review of archived footage and records. Photos, videos, timelines, everything from Meghan's first pregnancy was reportedly put under a microscope. And the more they looked, the more cracks appeared. Missing documents, conflicting dates, inconsistencies no one could explain.
So are you saying that he's 2 weeks older? And so I thought maybe that would allow time to wean the baby away from a birth mother if a surrogate was used. It would make sense. But instead of lying to the world, why not just say, we want a baby, we're having a baby, and we're using a surrogate?
Here's where things really heat up. According to royal sources, there is reportedly no official record of Meghan giving birth to Archie in any hospital under her name. No signature from palace doctors. No documented statement confirming the delivery. Nothing. Which is shocking because royal births are always documented. There are photos, doctor's notes, public announcements, something. But this time, nothing but a strange, silent void. Let's be absolutely clear. Using a surrogate is not the issue here. Millions of women choose surrogacy for personal, medical, or emotional reasons. Then that's completely valid. The issue isn't how Archie entered the world. It's the cover-up, the alleged lie. The story the public was fed. If Meghan and Harry had come forward from the beginning and said, yes, we used a surrogate, the public would have respected it. The conversation would have been very different. But if they staged the story, posed, performed, and presented it as Meghan's own pregnancy, then we're no longer talking about privacy. We're talking about full-blown manipulation on a royal level, on a global scale.
Don't pull that rubbish at the holidays because people aren't buying it. It's just, it's so...
And remember, this isn't just about two famous people. These are people connected to the royal family, a system that depends on family bloodlines, legacy, and tradition. So when questions come up about whether that bloodline is real, it shakes the whole foundation. The public wants answers. The palace wants to be sure. And at this point, Meghan and Harry might not be able to stay quiet anymore. The royal family isn't new to controversy, but this one cuts deeper than usual. At the heart of it isn't just Meghan or Harry, it's about what the crown stands for. The monarchy isn't built on being popular or having a modern image. It's built on heritage, bloodlines, and being legitimate. That's why this DNA request feels so different. It's not just personal, it's about the institution, and that makes it a much bigger deal. King Charles, now firmly seated on the throne, has reportedly been quietly reshaping the future of the monarchy behind the scenes. He's said to be focused on cutting down the working royals, making protocols stricter, and protecting the crown from any more embarrassment. The last thing he needs in the middle of his reign is more chaos tied to his youngest son. But when the question of succession and official royal roles came up, so did something else. who exactly is in line for those roles? That's when things reportedly took a sharp turn, because if Archie and Lilibet are to be included in that future, the palace wants to be absolutely sure they have the right to be there. And that's what triggered the palace's review of the past. The pregnancy photos, the hospital reports, the public timeline of Meghan's journey as a mother. What they found, or rather didn't find, is what's lighting this fire now. Missing hospital documents, no doctor records, and most damning of all, reports of confidential documents obtained by royal advisors that suggest Meghan might have never physically carried Archie at all. Instead of a record confirming her delivery, insiders say the palace found nothing. No hospital name, no signed-off document from royal medical staff, not even a trace of standard maternity procedure, which is highly unusual for a family that documents everything down to the last bouquet of flowers. The absence of this proof is what's now being interpreted as something more than forgetfulness. It's being seen as a possible cover-up, and the public, they're not holding back anymore. Old clips have resurfaced online. Videos of Meghan's baby bump looking noticeably different within days. Memes of her squatting gracefully in heels with a belly that seems to shift shape like a movie prop. People are openly calling it bizarre, unnatural, and yes, fake. Social media is having a field day with side-by-side comparisons. Slow-down footage and commentary. That's more like detective work than funny. But what's getting lost in the viral noise is the seriousness of what's being alleged. Because if this wasn't a genuine pregnancy, then we're not just talking about deception. We're talking about a deliberate rebranding of a royal birth into a public narrative, a story of triumph, diversity, and breaking old traditions, all built on what might have been a staged event. And it worked. Meghan and Harry received global praise, sold-out speaking tours, book deals, Netflix specials. They became the royal rebels everyone rooted for. But if that story was knowingly built on a lie, the entire narrative begins to rot at its core. Harry, for his part, is in just as deep. He's been the loudest defender of their story, cutting ties with family, blasting the media, and painting a picture of a couple under siege. But if he knew the truth and went along with it, the damage to his reputation might be beyond repair. This isn't just a scandal anymore. It's a test of royal integrity, personal loyalty, and whether the palace will finally force the truth into the light no matter the consequences. Pressure is closing in from every direction. The palace, once known for its silent dignity, has dropped the gloves. Royal insiders, former staff members, and even commentators who used to tiptoe around Harry and Meghan are now openly demanding clarity. The message is loud. If the children are to be part of the royal future, the truth needs to be on record. No more speculation, no more curated interviews, and definitely no more selective storytelling. One senior aide reportedly summed it up bluntly. They've had years to set the record straight. If they won't do it now, the institution will. That's what's at stake here. Not just family ties, but the integrity of the monarchy itself. The titles, the honors, the roles. None of it can exist in limbo, and certainly not under a cloud of deception for an institution that has survived wars, abdications, and divorces. This moment might be one of its most awkward yet, because it's not dealing with external threats, but a mess created from within. And here's the catch. Meghan and Harry's silence isn't working anymore. What used to be interpreted as dignified privacy is now seen as calculated avoidance. Every day, they refuse to address the DNA request. Public doubt grows. Too many a refusal is no longer a personal choice. It's an answer in itself. And if they do comply, the results, whatever they may be, will carry enormous consequences. If the DNA confirms Harry as the biological father, it won't erase the deception allegation, but it could take some heat off the children. It might reestablish a sliver of legitimacy in the eyes of the palace. But if the tests suggest otherwise, if there's even a hint of contradiction, then this isn't just a scandal. It's a crisis of royal identity. A constitutional mess no one is prepared to clean up. Behind palace doors, Prince William is said to be livid. He's reportedly furious at the damage being done to the family's image and legacy. Princess Anne, ever the no-nonsense royal, is rumored to have called the situation a disgrace. And King Charles, word is, he's devastated. This was never how he imagined his reign beginning, caught between love for his son and duty to the crown. But more than that, he knows how fragile public trust is right now, and he can't afford to lose it over unverified bloodlines and Netflix narratives. The most heartbreaking part, it didn't have to be this way. If Meghan had chosen honesty, if the story had been about strength, choice, or even medical complications, the public likely would have stood by her. People are far more understanding than they're given credit for. But by turning a private journey into a polished fairy tale and then possibly faking parts of it for public consumption, the backlash has been inevitable. Now the royal institution is drawing its line in the sand. The message is crystal clear. No DNA, no titles, no proof, no place in the fold. It's harsh. It's cold. But in the eyes of the monarchy, it's necessary. Because the future of the crown cannot rest on blurred truths and sentimental PR. The world is watching closely. Whatever Meghan and Harry do next, whether they submit to the test, deny it outright, or try to spin it once again, will shape how they are remembered forever, as victims of royal injustice or architects of their own downfall. The answer might come down to one swab, one test, and a truth that can no longer be hidden behind palace gates.